You need to stop manually organizing your files and let AI do it for you instead. Right now, 99% of people are spending hours every month dragging files into folders, renaming everything, and building systems that fall apart in a week. But a few have figured out that you can hand this entire job to AI, and they are leaving everyone else behind. And in this video, I will show you how you can do exactly the same. From what software you need to install and how to actually use it, so you never again waste hours organizing and handing down a single file. And if you don't know who I am, my name is Demian, and I help people become more productive with AI tools. So close all of your other tabs and let's dive right into it. But before I show you how you can automate this process with AI, I want to first talk a little bit about why is manually organizing your files actually this bad. And the simple answer to this is because it adds up. Since every single file that you download or create is a tiny decision that you have to make. Are you going to rename it? Are you going to put it inside an already existing folder? Or are you going to create a brand new folder? Now, obviously, this decision doesn't take much time, but when you do it hundreds of times per week, it actually adds up to a significant amount. Plus, it is a constant tax pulling you out of the work that you actually get paid for. Which brings us on to the second problem, which is that you actually forget what you have. And what I mean by that is, most of the time, you put your files somewhere where you think, oh, I will obviously be able to find them when I need them later on. But a lot of times, if you open your PC and you need this file after 1 or 2 weeks, you simply forget where you have saved it. And good luck if you think you're going to find it with a terrible Windows or Mac search functions, since they're almost never able to locate the file that you're looking for. So what happens most of the time is you half remember where it is, so you start opening up different folders and praying to God that you're going to find it that way. Which, if you ask me, is pretty absurd, since literally these billion-dollar companies like Microsoft and Apple haven't managed to build a functioning search that is able to always find you what you're looking for. And the third reason for why manually organizing your files isn't something that you should be doing is because it needs constant upkeep. And in my opinion, that is the worst of them all. And that is because usually when you have it in mind to be organized, then you do tend to create good folder structures, and then you kinda remember where you have saved everything, which is what you need from your folder structure. But that all changes once you have an urgent project or something that you don't have a lot of time to do, where you start downloading different assets and just throwing them in your downloads folder or throwing them in your desktop simply because you don't have the time nor mental space to actually organize them in the correct folder that they should be on. And this is something that I had been suffering with as well, since I usually tended to keep my things pretty organized, but when I had a deadline or I was rushing to get something done, I was literally downloading tens of different things from the web and just throwing them in my desktop or in my downloads folder, which basically destroyed my whole structure and cluttered everything up, which I had then to spend a lot of time to fix and actually put it inside the correct folders. And all this time is obviously time that I'm wasting, since I can be using it to make money. But what if you actually didn't have to take any of your time to organize your files and folders, and you just allowed AI to do that for you? Now, the tool that makes this possible is called Filect, and you can download it completely for free if you go over to filect.io, which I will also leave a link for in the description below. Now, how this tool works is it basically lets AI analyze your current files, and then it organizes them based in your instructions, exactly as you can see in the video that they have in the website. But we're not here so I can show you the video, we're here so I can show you how to actually use it. So the first thing that you have to do is to simply come over here and select it to download it either for Windows or macOS, depending on your own operating system. Now, I will personally download it for macOS. And then once you install it and create a free account using the 10-day free trial that they offer, you will be brought over in this interface over here. Now, as you can see, Filect has two main different functions. They have the search function, which we're not going to use right now, and they also have the organize function, which is what will allow us to organize any folder and any file that we have in our PC. Now, once we navigate over in this section, we can see that we have two different modes, and currently we are in the organize now mode, which is what we would say an active mode, where you can see in real time what changes Filect is going to make in your folder structure. And just so you guys can understand how this works in practice, I created this demo folder over here, which includes a bunch of different assets, like an invoice, a thumbnail image, some presentation slides, a full 20-minute video, 2 images of Pepsi and Coca-Cola, and another 20-minute video. And let's say I wanted to organize this folder with Filect, where all I would have to do is to simply come back over to the app, click on choose folder, and select the folder that I want to organize, which in my case is this one over here, and then all I need to do is to give it simple text-based instructions for exactly how I want the organization to happen. So let's say, for example, I wanted to put all the images in a folder that's called images, all the videos in a folder that's called videos, and anything that I have related to work, like an invoice or a presentation, in a folder that's called work. And now that I described in plain text exactly what I want, all I have to do is to simply come over here and click on generate plan. And this is going to pop up this tab over here, where Filect is going to ask me for permission to actually analyze the content of these 7 files that I have inside my folder. And if I click on index now, this is going to start the analysis process, where it's going to use AI to analyze what is inside those files, and then it is going to give me the proposed organization plan based on my instructions. But as you can see, I can actually open up and see exactly what it proposed. Here we have all the images that we had, here we have the 2 videos, and here we have my invoice and also my presentation, which is exactly what I described. But if you want to make a change to this plan, all you have to do is to simply come over here to the refine plan section and simply tell Filect what you want to change. So let's say, hey, I actually changed my mind. I want a separate folder for my invoice that is going to be called invoices, and a separate folder for my presentation that is going to be called presentation. And now that I described that, I simply have to click on refine, and this is going to refine my plan, update it, and as you can see, this created an invoices folder which has my invoice, and a presentations folder that has my presentation. And now that I like my plan, all I have to do is to simply come over here, click on apply organization, and then simply click on move files. And what this is going to do is actually move those files based on the folder structure that we saw before. And just so you guys can see that this actually worked, if I come over here back to my Filect assets folder, we can see that we don't see any of the previous assets because they have been all put inside these 4 different folders. And as you can see here, we have my images, here we have the invoice, here we have the presentation, and over here we have my 2 videos, which is exactly what we wanted, and we just managed to do it by typing one simple prompt. Plus, Filect has this history section, which if you actually click on, you can see all the previous organizations that you have done with it. And if you want, you can go into those organizations where you can see exactly where each one of these files moved, and if you don't like the end result, you can simply click on revert, and what this is going to do is revert back to the original version. And now if I come back over to that folder, I can see that everything reverted back to exactly how it was before, which is a super useful feature because if you do something that you regret, you can always revert back to a previous version. But now you might say, well, Damian, that seems pretty cool, but that still requires manual effort. I still have to open up Filect, I still have to type my prompt, and then approve the plan in order for my files to be organized. And to that I have to say, not really, because Filect, next to the Organize Now function, has an Auto-Organize function, which if you actually click on, you're going to see this tab over here, where you can simply come and click on the Edit button, and over here you will be able to set the specific folders in which you want Filect to auto-organize based on the instructions that you give it. And just so you guys can see, let me actually remove the previous folder that I had, and let's say I come over here and add in the same folder from before, which is my Filect assets folder, which is going to add it in over here, and then I will be able to describe how I want the organization to happen. And I give it my first original prompt, where I basically tell it, put the images in the images folder, put the videos in a videos folder, and put my invoice and presentation in a work folder. And then I can come over here, click on the options button, and access the 3 different modes the Filect has. Where as you can see, the first one is the reorganize all mode, which what it does is it flattens any folder structure that you have in that folder, so it basically ignores any folders that you have and it reorganizes everything from scratch. Then we also have the organize as is function, which applies your instruction to the current folder structure that you have. So if, for example, I had some folders over here that were called videos, and let's say I also had another folder over here that was called images, then it would go and move all of these files just into these 2 different folders. So either videos or images, and anything that didn't match, it would just leave it outside since we specifically told it to follow our current folder structure. So let me delete those, and then we have the organize new only option, where I think the name describes it perfectly. It only organizes any new files that go in that folder, and it leaves everything that is currently in that folder exactly as it is. Now for this example, since I don't currently have any folder structure over there, I'm going to choose reorganize all, and then I will click on save, and I'm going to click on the start button, which is going to start the auto organization process. And now if I go over to that folder, we can see that every file that we had was moved successfully in those folders. And as you can see over here, we have our images. Over here, we should have our videos, and over here, we should have everything related to work, which is our invoice and our PDF. And now, anything new that gets downloaded over here will be put into one of these 3 different folders. And as you guys can see, if I actually open up my browser and I search for an image of a bear, let's take this one for example, and I come over here, I download that image, and I specifically save it inside the folder in which I have set the auto organizer to work on, and I click on save. This is going to save this image inside, but if I actually go inside that folder, you will see that the image is currently not over here, and that's because the AI analyzed it and moved it in the correct folder based on our instructions, which should be the images folder. And as you can see, there it is, the image of the bear that we just downloaded, which means that the auto organization works correctly, and every time we save anything in this folder, Filect is going to automatically organize it based on our instructions, which is honestly a feature that can save you multiple hours every single month. And obviously, anytime we want, we can simply come over here and remove this folder from the auto organizer feature if we actually don't want it to run. But Filect has another very interesting feature which can honestly save you massive amounts of frustration, and that is its natural language search, which allows you to search for any file that Filect has organized based on the content of that file and not on how you named it. And what do I mean by that? Is let's say we want to find this image of a Coca-Cola bottle, and as you can see, this is named images.jpg. And nothing that has to do with Coca-Cola. Which means that through the Mac or Windows search, if you search for Coca-Cola bottle, you obviously wouldn't be able to find it because that's not the name of that actual file. But since Filect has analyzed the content of that file, all you have to do to find it is simply come over here and search for Coca-Cola, click on enter, and then this is going to return you all the images that you have in your PC that have Coca-Cola inside them. As you can see, the correct one is the 5th image that we have over here, which is called images. And if I actually open it up, you will see that it is indeed the same Coca-Cola bottle. Plus, since Filect gave us multiple results, which are all basically Coca-Cola bottles, like if I actually open them up, you will see that all of them meet my description. Filect also gives you the option to search for a specific size that image might have, and even for when this image was downloaded in your PC. So if you, for example, want an image of a Coca-Cola bottle that was downloaded last month, you can simply say Coca-Cola last month, and Filect will understand that and will only give you the images of Coca-Cola that were downloaded in the last month. Well, if you wanted, let's say for the month of December, it would return you only the Coca-Cola images from that month, which as you can see are currently none. So that's also a super useful feature that can save you a lot of frustration and make you find anything that you're looking for instantly. I also do want to say that this doesn't just work with images or with text, it also works with videos, since Filect is also able to analyze the content of videos and figure out what is inside them. And if you're wondering how you can let Filect analyze the files in your PC, you can do it by the Analyze Files tab over here, where in order for you to analyze anything, you specifically have to come over here and select a folder in your PC that you want to analyze. And if you don't do that, then Filect is not going to look in your files and see what is inside them, unless you're using the organize feature, where if you select a folder that you want to organize, Filect is also going to automatically analyze the files, which basically gives you complete control of what you want Filect to be able to access and what you don't want Filect to be able to access. So if you want to try out Filect, you can click the top link in my description or go over to filect.io, then download the app, which also comes with a 10-day free trial so you can see if you actually like it. And if you don't, you can simply cancel your trial within that 10-day window and you will not be charged. And also YouTube thinks that you're going to enjoy this video where I show you the top 5 best AI productivity tools. So make sure you go and watch that next, and I will see you over there.